Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Q. I'm a couples therapist and a financial coach, which allows me to talk about two of my very favorite topics, relationships and money. And today I'm very excited because I get to share a very special chapter with all of you. I just recently got engaged. And so I am beginning the whole process of planning for my wedding and creating a budget and all of that fun stuff. And so, as a financial coach, I work with couples whose relationships and marriages are crumbling due to money fights and money conflicts. And so, this topic is very close to my heart. I love working with my clients, and I'm always honored that they share such vulnerable and intimate details about their relationship and their money issues with me. And I'm so grateful that I get to witness the process of them growing as individuals and as couples as they, eliminate their debt and deepen their emotional connection and strive for a more stable financial future. And so in working with my couples, it's never lost on me that our working relationship is very one-sided. Like I said, they open up and tell me so many things, and I don't share anything about myself. And so when I got engaged, I talked to my fiance, and we agreed that this would be a wonderful opportunity for me to be in the same boat as them and to share some of the details of my life that they don't know a whole lot about. And so I'm very excited that over the next few months, I get to invite my clients, as well as all of you, to follow me during my wedding planning journey. And so you'll get to hear and see some of the things that I teach my clients and encourage them to do, like budget and communicate more effectively with one another. And you might even learn some helpful tips along the way. And so first things first, right? The budget. I am a financial coach. And so when my fiance and I got engaged, we had no clue how much money we wanted to spend on our wedding. And we didn't know exactly what we wanted to do. I was not one of those little girls who grew up dreaming about her wedding. And so I know nothing about weddings. And so instead of us sitting down together and going over every single detail of what we wanted our wedding to look like, we decided to take a different approach. And so we independently researched potential venues and decorations and what we wanted our wedding to look like. And then based on what we wanted our weddings to look like, we would calculate the cost individually. And that would kind of give us an idea of what each person was kind of thinking about when it comes to the budget. And then a few days after that, we decided that we would sit down, and make an evening out of it. And so we ordered dinner, and I had wine and he had whiskey. And we just made a really fun night of sharing the ideas that we had about our wedding as well as the budget. And so in doing that process, there were some tips that kind of came up that I wanted to share with all of you, right? And so the first thing is communication, which is not surprising, right? Communication is key. We all know that. But the reason why I'm highlighting communication is because he and I came into the conversation acknowledging that there was a potential for the budgets to be a little bit different. Perhaps one person's budget was going to be a little bit higher or lower than the other person, or that there was possibly going to be a huge gap in between how much I wanted to spend for the wedding and how much he wanted to spend for the wedding. And thankfully, although this wasn't the issue between the two of us, our budget surprisingly was pretty aligned with one another. It just reminded me during the conversation of working with some of my couples and when they experience the same thing where the gap of their budget is huge, right? And so for example, if one person wants $30,000 to spend on something and the other person wants to spend closer to $50,000, that could cause some conflicts between the two of them. And so when I work with my couples, what I always remind them is where they're agreeing and where they're disagreeing. And so for example, if we were to use this, you have to go through 30,000 to get to 50,000, right? That's how numbers work. And so you automatically agree on 30,000. Where a couple may disagree, it's just that $20,000 difference. And that's the part that they have to talk through. That's the part that they have to navigate. And so the other things that that they may have to talk through is what's important to each one of them, or what's important to them as a couple as they're beginning their lives together, merging their lives together. And so again, although that wasn't our issue, I offer that as to any of you who may be having some conflicts about whether it's a wedding budget or the down payment or how much you want to spend on a trip or whatever the case may be. Try and think about it from that perspective. Where do you automatically agree on and where do you disagree? The next thing that was important for us was to be realistic about our overall financial situation. We are paying for our wedding in cash. We're not using credit cards. And he and I are both in our 30s. And so family isn't offering to pay for our wedding. We're doing this out of pocket for ourselves. And we didn't want to spend all of our savings on a wedding. And so we wanted the wedding to be in alignment with our overall financial goals, what we're doing currently and what we have plans to do in the future. We wanted this, again, to be in alignment with our overall goals, and we wanted the budget to be in our comfort zone. And the next thing that was helpful for us to consider was to prioritize our must-haves and our nice-to-have. And I offer this to you all who are probably going through the same, wedding planning process, that this was helpful in figuring what our overall budget will be. So for some people, that could be they would prioritize the guest list or the location of the wedding venue or the honeymoon or the food that they would want to serve or the specific date that they would want for their wedding. Do you have 5 months to plan or do you have 2 years to plan? And so for us, the top two things that were important for us was the guest list, wanting to be surrounded by our close friends and families, the people that we absolutely love and adore, and our location. So we went back and forth a little bit of deciding if we wanted to have our reception in St. Louis or if we wanted to have our reception in New York City. I grew up in St. Louis, he grew up in New York City, and so we ultimately decided that we would have it here in St. Louis. So we are actually doing our courthouse ceremony in January, and then we'll have our reception here in St. Louis in June. And so again, having that conversation of what was most important to us and what we wanted to prioritize, that is how we ultimately decided to do the wedding venue or the reception here in St. Louis. And so then we'll go through the actual wedding budget. So we have decided that we were comfortable spending $30,000 on our reception. Like I said, we're doing the courthouse wedding or the courthouse ceremony in January. And so the larger chunk will be spent on the reception in June. And so when we went through all of the things that we wanted to do and everything that we would get from the $30,000, we were very comfortable with spending that amount. So just for the sake of transparency, I'll also say this too, that the $30,000 includes a cushion, right? Just in case we wanted to do something last minute. I don't know what that would be, but we wanted there to be a cushion in case something came up that we wanted to do last minute. We didn't want to go over budget, so we cushioned that a bit. So like I said, for the sake of transparency, the $30,000 includes a wedding planner. Like I said, I know nothing about wedding. I knew it was going to be important to me to have somebody who already is familiar with this whole process, who could help me navigate this whole journey. And so we hired a wedding planner. Within the $30,000, we get the cocktail tables and we get the dinner china, and we get the centerpieces and the gift table and the cake table and the DJ table. We get lots of tables. We get hors d'oeuvres. We get dinner, of course. We get the wedding cake. We get the 4-hour open bar. We get our engagement photos and our marriage license and our honeymoon. Although we haven't quite decided where we're going for our honeymoon yet, but the honeymoon is included in the $30,000. We wanted favors to give to those that were very special to us. And of course, we're hiring a DJ, we're hiring a photographer, and then the invitations that we'll be designing and sending out. So all of that is part of the $30,000. And like I said, probably a little bit of that cushion as well. So there you have it. This is my very first wedding budget video. And so I hope that this video was helpful to all of you couples out there navigating this exciting and I'm sure at times very challenging process. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any updates. We've already done our engagement photos, so that video will be coming soon. and as well as, I'll be budgeting and tracking expenses and all of that. Like I said, I wanted this to be a very transparent experience that I wanted to document and share with all of you. So if you have any questions or if you want to share your own experiences, please drop them in the comments below. And until next time, happy planning.